really to play football due to my dad, who played. Very football orientated, and he played for a long time. Ended up playing park football, so I used to go over and watch him because it was very local to us across the road. And he used to leave me outside while I was getting changed, kicking the ball up against the wall. I enjoyed football, watched it on TV, and then from there really he said to me, try and get you involved in a club. So we saw an advert in the newspaper, and he phoned up and said, could my daughter come along? And then I went along for training and then joined, and then I've been playing for 21 years now. I play for the first team at the moment, captain the first team. I've been on the committee, done a few roles. General secretary I've been doing for about 10 years, and I've stepped in as chair for this season at the moment until we can try and find someone else who might want to take that on.
Why did it seem so appealing? Why did it seem so attractive?
I'm very sporty. I think my dad's very sporty, and it was something that he encouraged us to play outside a lot. Obviously, I would say that I've got a talent, so it always helps you enjoy things if you can do it. I think that he was very encouraging of me trying to get better, trying to play competitively in an organised background with other children who would have that interest. So really it was kind of, I suppose a bit cliche, but it was in me. I enjoyed watching him play. I liked, even then, the social side of it. He enjoyed it, and it was kind of later in his life, so it was a lot more social rather than competitive. And it was good. It was good fun, and obviously it was time spent with him.
Almost like family time.
I mean, it was really. He was very. I mean, we will watch any sport. We always have done. But literally, if something's on the TV, we will watch it. If it was Accrington Stanley playing, we would watch it. So it's kind of like an extension of that, really.
And are all your family like that, or was it particularly you and your dad?
No, my others in my family are very non-sporty. They've got skills in other areas, more artistic, I would say, which is something actually I don't excel in. So I think it was you either had one gene or you didn't, and I landed the sporty gene.
More boys played than girls, and as a girl that was interested in football, was that something you were aware of?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started playing, there was no girls who played at the same time as me for my school. So when I was at primary school, my dad said you should try and get in the team, and I had a very encouraging teacher who ran the team, and his attitude was, if you're good enough and you want to play, then you can play. At the time of me playing for my primary school, we were playing other primary schools, and there wasn't any girls playing in those teams. I think that's something that my dad really highlighted, because he wanted me to then go to a club to get proper training and be with girls who wanted to play, to see if I could get better, rather than just individually going over the park with him. So, and I did say to him at the time that I wanted to play in games rather than just, it's not the same. So playing in games is where I wanted to be. So that's where really joining the club, that was the first really taste of competitive football. But other than that, yeah, it was just boys who generally played. And then when I came to the club, obviously opened my eyes that there were more girls who were interested in playing.
So in terms of barriers or prejudices you face as a footballer and also as a female footballer?
I mean, originally the barriers were that the boys didn't want me to play because it was new to them. I think what happened was, if they saw that you could play, then you were generally more accepted. So given time and given match time, that became less of an issue. And when we played other schools, actually it turned full circle, because they were more supportive when boys from other schools would say, oh, you've got a girl on your team, for example, they would actually then go the full circle and be quite defensive of me. And really, apart from that kind of negativity at the start, once you're involved in girls and women's football, you're around like-minded people. So people that come to watch are generally connected to the players. So there is no negativity there. The only other negativity you generally get is if you mention at work that you play. There's a bit of a historical view that, oh really, you play? Do you play a whole game? Is it organised? Do you wear kit? Is it proper? You know, these sorts of questions. And actually it's quite funny because when you start talking about football, people are quite shocked because you know what you're talking about. You know players that are in teams, even talking about the Premier League, and you join in conversations, and again, it's kind of, you've won them over. I think at the time, I just wanted to play because it was an opportunity to play games. And it was one of those things where there wasn't other girls who were interested in my particular primary school or around my local area. I think it came, probably reflecting back on it now, because of the change and because there's so much football, competitive football available for girls of a similar age to me when I first started. I think it is strange looking back on it, but at the same time, that's the development. We're looking back 20, 22 years when I first started, and things have really moved on.
What's your greatest memory highlight?
Funnily enough, I think there's a couple of things that really stand out. One thing was when I was younger, we played for the club, we played five-a-side because there wasn't a lot of the younger girls of a similar age. So we didn't play 11-a-side football, we played five-a-side. And that's how I got into starting with the club. And we played in the Metropolitan Police competition, which it was so wide-ranging, and you played teams that you hadn't played before. We actually got to the final, and it was at Wembley Arena. And we played, the boys and the girls competitions across the ages were all played on the same night. We played in front of what looked like thousands of people, probably the biggest crowd I've played in front of, and I was only 10 years old. But in terms of a memory, when you had all your family there and you had other people watching, that was great. And we won, which obviously made it better. And then really from the club point of view, just that the club's continue to run. I mean, been established now since 1985. And really, yeah, it has grown. We have had to trim it back. There's been rulings put in place, which means we've run less teams. So we've taken a couple of steps back, but I really feel like we're on the forward foot now. And running 3 senior teams is quite different compared to a lot of other women's clubs who generally just run the one team based on ability. But the reason and the ethos behind that has always been a community club who encourage football for all. So for as many girls as we've got teams for. And the fact that you can play football socially and it not be based on ability once you get over the age of 16, I think that's a big positive for our club. We encourage people to come, they could be 18 and never kicked a ball before. And if they want to, there could be a playing opportunity for them. But if they just want to come and train, at the same time we allow that to happen.
How has it influenced, shaped you, changed you, made you the person that you are?
There's been some big influences at this club and some people that you really looked up to in terms of when I was younger. Managers, coaches, chairs, people who you thought, I would want to be like that. I want to take the club forward, and they always had what you saw as your interest as the player. It was always about us and not about them. Really, in terms of the amount of time that people have committed, voluntary, for free, year on year, I mean, that's a big shape. That's a big shape as a person. It's wanting me to give back. I've grown up in that environment. I think also the friends, there's people I've known through football for 25 years and I've gone through the ages with them. I mean, that's big, and it's strange because even when people move away to uni and you don't see them, I'm in contact with them because of football and because of this club.
Diet, training, coaching, has it changed much since you were little and then grown up?
Yeah, I think, coaching, I think I've had a wide range of different coaching techniques. I suppose you'd say the first coach was my dad. He certainly didn't have a qualified approach, shall we say. It was an experience growing up with my dad, probably trying to be the coach even when he wasn't the coach. The way it is now, we have obviously qualified coaching and they go through proper courses run by the FA. There's also set ways to teach different ages, so there's age appropriate coaching. That's certainly something that has moved on. In terms of diet, wasn't really ever laid down in stone. Obviously we all know about healthy eating, but I think that's one of the things that really, in terms of moving forward into professionalism era, that's something that those people have to focus on, and not necessarily people at our club who care about the results, but it's competitive while being social at the same time.
What does Enfield mean to you? Has that got any particular relevance to you?
I mean, from a personal point of view, I grew up living in Edmonton and my mum and dad didn't drive, and so it had to be accessible for us. We were willing to put the effort in, obviously, to get there, but it needed to be accessible. So the fact is, when there was an advert placed, it was in the local paper, I was going to join the local club. In fact, I was lucky because in girls and women's football, you generally have to travel far to play. It isn't like you've got a pick of 3, 4, 5 different clubs, as it is in boys. So in terms of playing in the borough, I think that's where the club's been, and that's always why it shaped that community. Also, knowing people growing up through school, you know different people at different schools, but we were all playing for a club, the same team on the Sunday, so it kind of brings you together in that respect.
Has ladies Enfield football changed a lot since you first got involved?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some big changes through my, what I call playing career, I suppose. When I first joined, as I said, we played five-a-side football because I was of an age where there wasn't enough girls to play 11-a-side. There were very few leagues. How it is now is we run teams from under 10s in 1 year age groups all the way through to under 16s. I mean, really, when I started playing, if you were 14, you played senior football. Now that rule's changed to 16, and there's very few 16-year-olds who play seniors because they want to stay with their age group team to develop. I think there's a comfort really in playing with your friends to a certain extent, but sometimes that's to the detriment of the senior side, because there are some girls who are better, who are old enough to play seniors, but they get held back to play youth football, so that it's kind of playing with your friends. But I think in terms of my development as a player, I developed most through between 14 and 18. And I think I did that because I was playing with people that were older than me, better than me. The standard was very high, and that was make or break really. I needed to learn from them, learn from the coaches, learn from the manager of that team at that time. And I think some of that is lost at the moment. But at the same time, the opportunity now for these girls, they get to join, they get to play competitive football straight away, every week, September all the way through to May. There's games for them. And I think that encourages participation, definitely. And being the player, you want to play the games.
What advice would you give to a girl now that wanted to play football?
Don't be put off through not playing for a club. Don't be put off if you haven't played at school. If you want to come out and try, there's lots and lots of clubs. There's different mediums of how to get in contact with clubs. You can go on the websites, the internet age, find a club, go to a few training sessions, see if you enjoy it, and then decide whether you want to take it further from there. There's different clubs for a wide range of players. There's some that are based on ability, there's some that are based on participation only, some are friendship groups. So I think don't be put off through the fact that you might not have had the opportunity to play previously. We've got a formal connection with Enfield Town Men's, which is quite unusual for a girls and women's club. It allows us to play on this, we play at QE, which is a brand new facility, which is the home of the men's team. Our ladies first team get to play on a brand new pitch. All our club have now been based here, so play on the playing fields where there's great facilities. The men's club have been a big supporter of girls and women's club really for a long, long time now, which is, as I said, quite unusual. We think this has a lot to do with the fact that they're a supporters-run club and about the players and the football rather than the politics of the game. So, and that's really good, and we're hoping to forge even closer links. The whole Enfield Town Football Club offer football opportunities for girls, boys, ladies, men, people with disabilities, all under the umbrella of Enfield Town. So hopefully with this home, we can only get bigger and stronger.